Hello everybody, my name is Cassie Lee. I recently made a video called My Quantum Time Speed Theory. So if you're watching this video and haven't seen that one, this won't make much sense. But so go back and watch it. The basis of it is that time is essentially the fastest thing that we know, obviously, because while we think it's light, nothing can travel faster than time because speed is the time that it takes something to travel a certain distance, so you can't have speed without time because time's part of that equation. So I was saying time is technically the fastest thing that we know because you can't go faster than that. That doesn't make sense. But then I was going further into how there could be something faster than time, and that would relate to Einstein's theory of relativity, that time is the fourth dimension. And there's something that is faster than time, we just can't observe it as being on the third dimension. So go back and watch that video, and that'll help explain this one a lot more. But thank you so much to everyone who commented on that video. It was amazing. I didn't think anyone would be watching that, but I had a lot of really good feedback. I did have one person in particular that was not happy with some of my lack of education in the field, I guess. So again, just in case to clear that up, I'm going to disclaim I don't have a degree. Everything I know, I just learned online. I'm not a professional or anything, but the whole purpose of quantum theory is that people are bringing their heads together um, for science and just thinking outside of the box no matter what it is. So this is a theory. It may be true, it may not be true, but it is grounded by solid scientific facts that I know from research I've done. So, yeah, thank you again for all of your feedback. I did want to address Wallflower Speaks comment because it was really good and added to my last video. They said that humans probably could never travel at the speed beyond time, like I had theorized in the video, but that some particles possibly could in the future. We could figure out how to make them travel that far, including things like photons. They could travel faster than time, possibly, and then send us back like a snapshot of what's happening out there so that we can see it, and that would be super cool. Also, probably scary because I don't think humans need to see into the future. Because, yeah, who knows what we would do with that. But anyway, so thank you for that comment. That was really good. And I also like how it related really good to what I had said in the video about how the future technology that we have could somehow be able to detect this fourth dimension that we can't. Like some of our technology can detect like ultraviolet rays that we can't, or can detect black holes when we can't with our EEGs, things like that. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And relating to comments, this video is going to be about dark matter and energy related to the time speed theory, and this idea came from Trend Ketchup, which is an amazing name. So go check out that account if you want to. I will again do another disclaimer that a lot of theorists with time to kill, like me, think about dark matter and try to come up with a solution as to what it is and why it is. So there's a million theories out there, and we have yet to find one that actually solidly fits. So this probably isn't the one, but it's just interesting to discuss with other people that have similar interests in this field. So, I'll start with the basics of what dark matter and dark energy is, which is we don't know. We have like really no clue. I watched several videos to research this one, and they were all like, "Yeah, we don't really know. We know that it exists." That's it. But some things that we do know is normal matter. So us, everything we know, everything we can see, everything we can observe is only 5% of the universe, or the universe that we know. Dark matter is only 27%, and then dark energy is 68%. So most of what's around us, including right now in this air, all over the place, we can't see or observe really. So that's interesting. Um, Dark matter, the only way that we theorized it and discovered it is because the gravitational pull of normal matter in galaxies, including, the stars, the planets, the solar system, all that, shouldn't be strong enough to spin galaxies as fast as they are, especially once you get farther outside of the galaxy and outside of the gravitational pull of the black hole or whatever is at the center of that galaxy. So that's how we know that there has to be some other matter that is stronger, this stronger extra gravity that is keeping everything spinning and in place instead of just slowly unraveling and drifting away. Um, we can sort of observe dark matter because it bends light around it, kind of like time dilation that Einstein talked about in his theory of relativity, which I talked about in my video and relates a lot to this time speed theory because essentially, if time can slow down, at least to an observer, then there is a possibility that it could also speed up in certain circumstances around something perhaps that's so light and has so little mass that it speeds up instead of slowing down around large mass like it does with time dilation. And a lot of particle physicists or astrophysicists think that dark matter, they call dark matter basically nothing, but it also has effects, so it can't be nothing. So it's just it could be so compact that it can literally warp how fast time is going, which is interesting. There's not a ton of evidence behind that because, again, there's hardly any research around dark matter. But I will, like I was saying, dark matter is basically nothing, and a lot of astrophysicists describe it as it's not a thing. It might not be a thing or a particle, but it is just a property of space. And this is actually, in my understanding, would be more for dark energy, while dark matter is probably made out of some kind of particle that we can't see. And it doesn't like interact with us or with light, so it's not in a way that we can observe it, except sometimes through how it bends around massive objects. So there's like some theories about what this particle could be that makes up dark matter. There's these things called neutrinos, also known as ghost particles, that can travel almost as fast as the speed of light, and they can go through everything with very, very little detection, but we have detected them. And they can move through anything with little effect. So they have all of the qualifications of dark matter, what we call that, because they're just basically invisible, but they're not heavy or abundant enough to explain all the dark matter that we have in the universe and how it affects the gravity of such large objects. So that's one possible thing, but basically, using neutrinos, we can theorize that whatever particle makes up dark matter is probably something that interacts in a way that we can't observe it, which, if you watch my last video, this may sound a little crazy and science fiction, but I was talking about how if time is as the fourth dimension, it would be in a way that we couldn't directly observe it and we couldn't see it and understand it because we are only on a third dimensional plane, whereas a fourth dimensional plane would have one aspect that we wouldn't be able to understand, like how two-dimensional only has height and width. Our three-dimensional has height, width, and depth. So if someone were on a two-dimensional plane, they wouldn't be able to understand someone on a three-dimensional plane because we have an extra layer of space that we take up that just isn't viewable from a lower level. So in the same way we wouldn't be able to directly observe a fourth dimension ever, we would only be able to observe its effects, which is what we've done with dark energy and dark matter. So this relates really well to that and to Einstein's theory of relativity that time is the fourth dimension. In addition to this, Neil deGrasse Tyson even said that dark matter could be normal matter from a nearby universe or another universe that's layered on top of ours, a multiverse, which is tying in also to what I said in the last video. I talked about the string theory and the quilted multiverse theory, that basically those two things could be tied to time or to a transcendence of time where you go faster. So the string theory, if you know, it's strings vibrating on different frequencies, so there could be a time that's faster than ours that we just can't see, and it's layered right on top of ours, but on a frequency that we can't understand. And with the quilted multiverse theory, and I also talked about quantum entanglement with this, but it could be that there's this time that's moving so fast that it appears in both places because it's moving faster than the time that we can observe on, our three-dimensional level, if you'll be flexible with that idea. So that would mean that there could be two universes or an infinite amount of universes with the same exact copies of everything at once, basically quantum entangled, kind of, where they react the same, they look the same, they are the same, but they're across tens to the 10th to the 118th light years away apart. So this would just explain why our time and our understanding of time couldn't account for that connection that quantum entanglement and potential multiverses have. Okay, now to move on to dark energy, it is a little bit different. It takes up the biggest part, over half of all of the mass and matter that we know, or that we've theorized, I guess. But I'll tell you how it was found was because Hubble, not the telescope, the scientist, his redshift proved that the universe is expanding by looking at light waves and how the farther away they were, they began to stretch and favor the red side of the spectrum of light, meaning that the universe was stretching more and more. This relates to dark energy because dark energy is basically tied to empty space. It is empty space. It is the creation and expansion of empty space as we can see it, and it's what allows the universe to expand into nothing, essentially, which is another question that still takes a lot of scientists a long time to answer and hasn't been answered yet. But since the discovery of this, and from what we've observed from supernovas, I believe, is how they do it, we've figured out that the expansion of the universe has sped up instead of slowing down, which, with gravity, an explosion, you would expect it to eventually slow down and even stop. But instead, it's expanding and moving faster than it was at the beginning, which is, not what you would expect with normal astrophysics. This could be, again, because whatever particle makes up dark energy or dark matter or whatever force makes up dark energy, these are things that surpass our observation of time, and they can speed up more or ahead of time, like more over time than we would expect from our normal physics that we understand, our normal quantum physics. The last thing that these two, that dark energy and dark matter, tie into with the quantum time speed theory is really interesting. Again, thank you to Trend Ketchup for commenting this, because I never knew what it was called. When I was younger, I would say probably a few years ago, I'm a writer, so I came up with this book idea called the ring theory. It was basically, I'll explain what it is in a second, but it was this idea that you had to view the creation and eventual desecration of the universe as a ring, because otherwise, with our logic in our mind, it just doesn't make sense. Because, you can't have this linear progression where nothing creates everything and then everything collapses into nothing. That doesn't make sense because matter can't be created or destroyed. So it's this idea that it's a ring. And I figured out from Trent Ketchup's comment that this is called the cyclic universe theory. Cyclic. It's basically that the universe is a cycle. It recycles itself over and over again. So we have this point of the Big Bang, where it explodes. You have time, and it curves around, and then eventually the universe will collapse in on itself, they call that the Big Crunch. And then that would eventually explode again back, and it would go in a circle over and over and over again. This was huge to think with the time speed theory because it's about time being transcended in this way that we don't understand. And if time is the fourth dimension, then it's fluid, and there's a forwards and a backwards and a sideways, and there's just this motion of it that it can go around and around. And you also think if you are going to transcend the speed of time, it might start going backwards, kind of like I don't know, I view it as retrograde for a planet. You start going so fast that you just start looping back around, which I know isn't how retrograde works, but I picture the little shape that it makes. So this is just really interesting because it ties in the time speed theory by showing that time could be something that is fluid and that you can go back in, or that can loop around on itself. It's not something that exists in a now, because if it's a ring, now already happened, but it's repeating itself over and over again. And that makes it make a lot more sense how the universe came to be, how it formed out of nothing and is going to collapse into nothing and reform over and over and over again, because the Big Bang on itself, I'm just going to be honest, does not make any sense. And that leads to my disclaimer about the ring theory book. I originally wrote it, these two separate people, the two main characters. One was a scientist, and he was very founded in scientific fact, and so the ring theory was how he explained how the Big Bang happened over and over again, which this is also the cyclic universe theory that I didn't know that was what it was called. But then the other main character was a strong Christian, and she was saying that was how she helped explain to people how the problem that who created God? Where did God come from? How did he exist forever and ever and ever at the beginning? And so she helped kind of calm the existential crisis by explaining it to them like a circle, because God was outside of time. He existed in all of the time, and a circle has no end. He has no end. That's how she explained it. So my disclaimer is that I am a Christian, and I don't believe in the Big Bang, and I don't believe that the universe will just end for no reason. I believe everything has a purpose and a reason, and that's why I believe that if the Big Bang is real, how we think it happened because it was created by God. And I can't make a video, explaining science and how the universe works without giving him the credit because he created it. That doesn't really tie into the theory scientifically, but it does to me because, he is the driving factor behind everything. So I have to make sure that I give him the credit and the glory for that. But that was all I had on dark matter and dark energy. Thank you guys so much for watching. This went on longer than I thought. I didn't think I would have much to talk about this this force that we know nothing about and have no way of observing, really. But I had a lot to talk about. So, thank you so much for watching. Again, especially if you watched the first video, please comment more ideas about this theory and how they could tie in together. If you didn't watch my last video, I don't know how you got through this one, understanding what I was talking about. So go watch that. But I will be making more videos in the future, hopefully shorter ones, to not bore you guys to death. But yeah, comment any ideas you have, any questions about this, if you want to debunk anything I said or correct anything I said, please do that, because as I said, I'm still learning. I really don't know anything in the big scheme of all that there is to know about quantum theory and space. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.